let you take it away.
Cool. So I'm gonna just like go straight into this, and then I'll give you a count in to start time. Because the timer doesn't start right away. It'll pop up when chapter 1 is on screen, is when we start time.
Fair enough.
Excuse me.
So, well, I'll wait unless you have things you can say before the timer starts.
I'll just wait till after. So, like, 3, 2, 1, go. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Tim Trollgasm, and I'm going to be running through The Evil Within 2, any percent no major skips. So what no major skips means is that we can't use any of the big sequence-breaking glitches in the game. There's a few little skips that we can do, but nothing over the top, at least intentional anyway. For those who are like unaware of what The Evil Within is about, you play as a detective named Sebastian, and this organization known as Mobius have created what's basically like a Matrix style thing. It's collective consciousness hooked up to it, and some stuff goes really bad, and it then becomes really spooky. So just gonna crouch and then uncrouch really quickly there. That just stops Sebastian from stopping, and when we get to the top of this staircase briefly, so it's he'll say something, but we don't care because we want to go fast. And so if you're unfamiliar with the first one, because a lot of this story is tied into the first game. In the first game, there's a lot of files that you pick up throughout the whole game that sort of give you a bit of an idea on Sebastian's backstory, being that he lost his daughter in a house fire, which we just saw. Spoiler alert, that was a dream. And then his wife leaves him. And we find out that it wasn't actually his daughter that died in the house fire. It was set up by Mobius because they want to use her to power this particular version of STEM, which is the Matrix style thing that they've created here. And Kidman here was one of our partners in the first game, and we learn at the end of the game that she was working for Mobius. And so after the events, Sebastian just turns to alcohol and just ruins his life. And Lily is Sebastian's daughter. Lily's gone missing, which is why they've called on Sebastian to go and find her, because the team that they sent in there, they've lost communication with. So there's probably a few seconds here, a couple of minutes at most, if you want to say anything, because I'm basically just going to be running down a black hallway. So if there's any donations or incentives you want to read about, or even talk about what green gaming is, go for it.
I would be delighted to. So, first of all, this is Green Gaming. Green Gaming is a speed running to save the planet. Each year we pick a charity that's looking to make an impact on our climate crisis. We only have one planet to live on, and we should do what we can to make sure we can coexist on it. This edition of the Green Gaming Fest is supporting Mother of Corals. Mother of Corals' mission is simple. We rely on coral reefs for a lot. They produce a significant amount of the world's oxygen, and more than 1 billion people rely on those reefs for their livelihoods. The coral reefs are in trouble, and now more than ever we need to return the favor. At Mother of Corals, we provide the tools and training to enable coastal communities to create, maintain, and share artificial coral reef habitats with the public in order to increase their environmental and economic sustainability. As far as upcoming incentives, I don't see any current donations. Upcoming incentives, right after Evil Within 2, we are at $35 of $200 to add the game Murder House to the marathon, which would also be run by Tim Trollgasm here.
That's a fun run. Definitely a fun run.
I am being told I am quiet, which is weird because that's almost never a thing. I'm a quiet person. I'll give it back to you while I figure out what I can do about me being quiet.
Cool. So we've just entered STEM, and this little area is like our safe room kind of thing. It's like a main hub for if we decide we need to upgrade anything, which, by the way, speedrun, so we're not upgrading anything. This, and I think maybe like one other section of the game is where we actually spend any time in here. Otherwise, it's just we're going point A to point B. And so we've just gone through the mirror. There is the system they implemented in the first one, so it was cool to see it come back. And now we're going to find ourselves in this really fancy theater, which is where we introduce the first 2 of 3 movement tech that we use in this game. So stamina is really awful in this game at the base level. I guess all those years of smoking and drinking sort of caught up with Sebastian. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap the sprint button in a sort of rhythmic pattern, and it'll sort of ever so slowly like build the stamina up after each tap, and that's just so we can try and get as much out of him as possible. Otherwise, he only runs for 3 or 4 seconds before he decides that that's enough. So you'll just see that little stamina bar go down ever so slowly. Okay, and this opening section is pretty like Silent Hill in design, like lots of really weird things. In fact, the whole first half of the game is very much based around that weird surrealism type thing. So we're coming up to our first Mobius team member, and he's not alive.
What the hell?
You can literally just stand there for hours and that will just repeat.
Someone tried to block the way out.
It's pretty straightforward in this intro section, just sort of just traversing, I should say, English, bro. So I'm gonna like stop tapping sprint at certain sections going up these stairs just to try and get as much stamina built back up as possible, because we need at least a little bit going into the next room. Otherwise, we'll have what happened the other day in practice where I just got absolutely destroyed by what's coming up. Because for some reason the stamina just doesn't... Well, I don't know, when it's empty going into this room, it doesn't seem to like refill. You need a little bit left in there. So this is Stefano. He's one of the main antagonists of this game. He's very vicious. You have no way to defend yourself in this section. But thankfully for us, he's kind of blind for the first couple of seconds after we gain control of Sebastian. So we're going to use that to get as close to where we need to go as possible. Okay, so if we'd gone any further, he probably would have seen us. Now this is the second lot of movement tech, and that is abusing cover to cover. So you'll see that little inverted arrow just popped up on screen for a moment there. Now what that does is it means that there's somewhere that we can run for cover, basically. There's a nice little cover system in this game. So we're going to use that as much as possible now, along with the tapping of sprint, to just go as far as we can without running out of stamina. So you'll notice the stamina actually refills when we're doing cover to cover. And he gets a tiny little speed boost as well. So the more cover-to-cover abuse we can use, the better. Though sometimes the game likes to just say no. But yeah, anytime there's a little triangle on that screen is when we're able to do cover. And so that's probably the main mode of movement outside of the tapping. We're going down to a very Silent Hill kind of area at the moment. It's the standard run to end of room, stuff changes, run to other end of room, stuff changes kind of deal. Okay. So you hear a noise, and that's an audio cue to bang. That means we turn around and go to the other area. Bang, just like before, and then we open this door, and Stefano's waiting for us. Yay! Okay. Once again, go to the other end of the room. You interact with this photo, and then you'll see someone sort of walk past in the reflection there. But it's a massive debate. Because now we deal with this. Not terrifying at all in your first playthrough. She's fine though, we just run past her. So the game makes it seem like it's really dramatic and urgent to get out of here, but it actually gives you more than enough stamina to run through this section without needing to stop. Even on the harder difficulties, it's just like when stamina drains faster, it's fine. They've done it so that there's no way to get hit. It's more like a, oh no, dramatic. Okay, so now we're going to run up into the vent system here, and my camera just did a weird thing that it sometimes does. If you input too early and hold onto it too long, sometimes the camera's like, just does like a full 360. You never know where you're going to end up. Okay. And so coming down here, I'm actually going to walk backwards down this this ventilation shaft here, and that's to stop a little scene here where Sebastian gets thrown back from the Guardian sticking this saw blade through the roof. So because he's walking backwards, he still plays the animation, and that'll push us closer to where we need to exit from the vent here.
I'm sorry to break in. I'm just trying to find out if I'm audible now.
Oh, okay. Yep, I can hear you. I don't know if stream can. Alright, so this part here, we're just gonna... The Guardian's gonna break through the wall, and we're gonna have to leg it to that elevator here. But I'm gonna be using this as well as the keyboard. It's mostly for... So there's some sections where the aiming is just garbage, so I'll use the controller and abuse the aim assist that this game has, but also mashing sections, just double the inputs. I don't know if it works. It could be a placebo effect, but all the other runners do it too, so why not me? Okay.
Alright, I'm being told that my volume is much better now, so just let me know when you've got moments for me to talk about incentives and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. Can do. So that was the intro section. That was like, hey, here's how to play game. And so now we're actually in Union, which is the city that they created for STEM. And we're going to find out that things are definitely not going well.
Where were you when I needed you?
So on the easier difficulties, once you get below like that marker on your health, it will actually regenerate. So rather than use that health item that the game places there and suggests we use, we're just going to let our health regenerate normally. And skip this phone call because we don't care what Kidman has to say. And we're going to start implementing the third movement tech, which is used sort of when we're getting really low on stamina mostly, and that is like just tapping aim. You see it sort of halts the stamina for a second there while we're moving. And we can get a step or two before it starts to drain again. So we use that in combination with the other two, and we can sort of get around longer areas without running out of stamina, hopefully. So this is our first introduction to the Lost, which are basically this game's zombie, normal enemy. We're just going to run away from her. If we were to go to the other side of that car, Sebastian actually stops and... Okay, he's doing what he's not meant to do. That's great. I was going to say, he doesn't actually look at that sign, but he just did it anyway. Okay, so I'm going to heal now. Healing refills stamina. So we use that every now and then, just when it's like, okay, we actually don't have enough stamina at all to get through a section, whether there's the tapping or not. It's one of those sort of last resort things. Okay, so we've just seen O'Neill run into that safe house, and I don't like O'Neill. He's a bit of a jerk. He's selfish and he's a coward. I'm going to pick up this bottle. So on casual, the game automatically gives you this ability that when you get grabbed by enemies, Sebastian will use the bottle to break free of the grab, and that's an upgrade in any other difficulty. But thankfully on casual, we don't have to worry about it so much. It's not often that we get grabbed, but it is good to have it as a failsafe, because there are some cutscenes in the game where you can actually absolutely get destroyed by enemies. The skip for this cutscene is RNG as to whether or not you can skip it right away, and no, I didn't get that.
Don't come any closer. Okay, calm down. Don't shoot.
More dialogue to skip through.
Some signals nearby that resonated the course frequency. We were trying to track them when we got attacked. Here, listen to this.
So I've got a fairly long running section coming up,
Sounds like a little.
where you'll be able to talk a bit. So I'll let you know.
Let's pair up our communicators. That way I can see.
So he's basically just said he's O'Neill's just told us here that no, we don't want coffee. Okay. So the coffee machines in this game refill health, but that was unintentional. I didn't mean to do that. What we have to do now is we have to activate this workbench to be able to start doing field crafting. You can't actually do field crafting until you've interacted with a workbench. And they're used for making ammo and all that kind of fun stuff, upgrading weapons and stuff. So we're just going to exit straight out of there. Field crafting requires more resources, but we don't actually need to go to any of these workbenches to craft anything at any point. Because the game's very good at actually giving you handgun and shotgun ammo as you need it. It's really just the bolts and any other high-powered weapon that you need to actually craft the ammo for. So we've been given this communicator. There's this signal going on, and we're going to try and find that signal. And the signal is our daughter. Okay, so we've locked onto that. There's going to be a little cutscene. Doesn't matter where I walk in this cutscene, he's going to end up in the same spot. So I can run over here, and he'll still end up in the same spot. Used to new non-clacky keyboards. I have chat open for the first time at any marathon, so it's good. It's good as ASMR, the loud keyboards. All right, so now I'm just going to run to where the signal was. So you've got about a minute if you want to read anything out.
All right, no donations at the moment, but let's see. Because I wasn't probably able to be heard most of the rest of everything I said. Let's see what we've got. We have, for incentives, at $35 out of 200, we can add the bonus game Murder House to the marathon, right after this run, also being run by Tim. After that, we've got Trek to Yomi, where you can both pick the category and pick the ending. It's a bid war. Anybody who wants to snipe those, they are currently at $0. So for a single dollar, you can pick a category, or I guess it'd take you $2, one to pick the category, one to pick the ending. And after that, we've got Star Fox 64, where you can choose what region the racers run in, but that is at $0 of $50. That's what we've got coming up. And yeah, just shut me up when you need to shut me up.
Yeah, no, I'm coming up in a sec. So in this section here, there is actually a glitch that you can get that no one in the community seems to know what triggers it. So it's not official, but the moderators have basically said, hey man, if it happens, it happens. So we're not going to penalize you for it because it's not something you can control. So we're going to go through in here, and so we're following this signal, and yeah, we're gonna find Lily's doll, and sometimes when you pick up the doll, Sebastian's movement isn't actually deactivated, so you can still move around. Which, if you get it, saves you about 10 seconds. If you look down there, you'll see the light turn on. Yep, bang.
All right, calm down.
Geez, I wonder where we need to go.
I get it
Okay. Yep, okay, so that's the glitch there. So normally Sebastian will stop and he'll pick up the doll and he'll talk about it. But yeah, for some reason, it just, every now and then you'll go to pick it up and it
She's in trouble. Someone is
just doesn't register that you've got to stop. I'm going to pick up
window comes up.
sort of first little bit of resources here. So we need to pick up all manner of nails and smoke powder and gunpowder and all kinds of stuff to craft bolts specifically, which we'll get to that soon. Okay, so at the moment we're just following where all these like signals are leading us to. It's just a big game of hide and seek, really.
What the? Another signal. I'm coming, sweetheart.
Okay,
Just hang.
there's actually another glitch you can get in this section here that is absolutely awful, and it launches Sebastian over that fence, and then you need to reload the checkpoint. So that's always fun. It's almost like this game was published by Bethesda too. Okay, so fuses we use to craft some specific bolts. There's a bunch of different types of bolts in this game. There's the standard harpoon bolt, which I don't know if any of you in chat have like played the Evil Within games, but I very, very rarely used the bolts in my casual playthroughs. But it turns out they're actually really useful. So fuses create shock bolts. Nails and gunpowders and stuff create explosive bolts. And there's a few other bolt types as well. But yeah, we should not need at any point in this run to actually craft handgun or shotgun ammo. If I need to do that, then I'm doing something really wrong. Okay. Again, we're just going to follow this signal. If there's anything else you want to say, say it. At the moment, there's really not a whole lot happening in this first chapter.
I can let everybody know about the prizes for donating. The big one is if you donate a minimum of $40 over the course of the marathon, we've got the Devolver Digital Game Pack. That is 10 games. Let's see. It's all by Devolver Digital. It's Disc Room, Ape Out, Shadow Warrior 3, Pikuniku, the Hotline Miami Collection, which is which is both games. Death's Door, My Friend Pedro, Katana Zero, The Messenger, and Gris. I've played about half of those games, and they were all really, really good.
How good is The Messenger?
What's that?
I said, how good is The Messenger?
The Messenger is amazing. And we actually saw a speedrun of
We
that
did, yes.
earlier today. By Mach Nakora did The Messenger earlier, and it was amazing. That's the big one. We've also got the Crack Pet Show by Ravenage Games for $5, Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania plus the DLC by Slosh for $10, and two more Devolver games, Cult of the Lamb and Return to Monkey Island, both also $5.
She must be in that warehouse.
Okay. So, we've seen that Lily's gone into this warehouse, but it's locked, so we need to run over here and pull this switch. Now, this is one of those instances where having the bottle is really helpful, because sometimes they like to grab you in the cutscene, and if we don't have... Let's say I've got very little health, and he grabs me like that, he can actually kill me while that cutscene's playing. And it has happened a few times in runs, so I always try to be prepared. Okay. It doesn't matter so much if any of those guys follow me in, because they will despawn as soon as the door closes. so we're just gonna again abuse the cover to cover a bit more. I can get him to slide if I do it correctly. No, he didn't want to do cover to cover. If you hit cover to cover before that little scene plays of him like stopping, he'll do like a little slide on his knees. That's cool. Okay. Okay, bang. Those boxes can sort of land in really awkward places too. And then they'll just jump on you, and it's not fun. Okay, so we're about to go pick up the shotgun, and this is one of like 2 areas I think you can pick up this specific shotgun. In a normal casual playthrough, you'll probably find it in the marrow somewhere, which we're about to sort of enter after this section here. If okay, I was going to say, if I look up, he won't stop and say there's another doll, but I was a little bit slow on that one. That's just one of those little, like, half-a-second time saves.
Him. The murderer with the camera. And the son of a bitch has my little girl. I was so close. Damn it. Calm down. Think. I gotta save her. No more signals coming into this communicator. I need to find another way.
So when we're approaching,
Not sure I can trust
like, ladders and stuff, you can actually run down through it. You don't actually have to activate the ladder itself, but it only works if Sebastian's running full speed. Otherwise he kind of just stops, and that's not great. Otherwise you kind of have to end the phone call and then try. So yeah, if you could hit it as he's pulling out the phone, it's like really quick. Bit more Silent Hill type stuff, just switching between, you know, the theater and Union. There's only one cover point here, so we've got to manage our stamina a bit. And coming up is a little bit of a time save. If we angle our camera, Sebastian will just keep running. If we were to be looking straight ahead, he slows down to a walk at about that pace he was just there. And that just saves a little bit of time too. He's going to call on what are called spawns, which are just savages. They get on top of you, and it's awful. So I'm going to try and cover to cover as best I can so I don't get hit, because they can actually deal some big damage if you let them. Okay, so the intended strat for this is to move the dumpster there, but if we get the angle right, we can just climb up on top of it like that. And he does get stuck, and if he does get stuck, you just tap aim real quickly, and he'll come out of that. And hopefully we're going to get to where we need to go without them coming out the front and hitting me, because they have a tendency to do that as well. They're very sneaky boys. Okay, so they'll just despawn now. So that sound you're hearing, the wheezing, is what's known as a lament. And they're a bit annoying to deal with too, because if they spot you, they scream. That's the lament there. It will scream, and that drains your stamina instantly. If you get within a certain radius of her, she'll spew like acid, and it does some pretty big damage too. But the last thing you want to happen is her to grab you. If she grabs you, it is an insta-kill. So we're going to do our best to not be seen by anyone. Because dealing with the Horde of Lost and the Lament in this section is just disgusting. Okay, so this is the bow I was talking about with the bolts that we pick up. So we're about to grab a couple of shock bolts. The game's sort of hinting at, hey, here's what you can do with a shock bolt by showing this cutscene of the fire hydrant breaking. Okay. So now we're heading back to speak with O'Neill. We've done everything we need to do in this particular section for now. And he's going to send us through the marrow to investigate something.
Alright, I'll use that time to plug our merch store, which is in the chat right now. And any merch you purchase from the merch store will donate $5 to our charity, Mother of Corals. And the designs are really awesome. They were designed by a member of our Discord. And it's really cool stuff. I have a mug from last year. Or not a mug, like a vacuum coffee thing.
Okay, so he's just told us, hey, you need to go to the Marrow. And he mentions that there's like a gas leak in one of the tunnels there, so he gives us a gas mask. And so we're just gonna basically run in a straight line from here to the next building. So if there's anything else you need to plug, go for it. But speaking about the merch, am I correct in mentioning that there was like a really cool sort of Halloween beanie design, or am I imagining that?
There is a beanie that is glow in the dark.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
There's some pictures of it in the Discord, and it looks really awesome. If I were a beanie person, I would totally buy it. But I'm too hot-blooded for that.
So, fun fact, I'm an embroiderer. So seeing that in the Discord was like, oh my god, this is amazing. So, really good embroidery job on that thing. And just the fact that it glows in the dark was like, hell yeah. So you just see there, I was too busy talking about embroidery and ran out of stamina, but that's okay. We can catch our breath fairly quickly. So right now I'm just going to equip the 2 weapons we've picked up. And you'll see that glowing box at the end of the runway here. And that's... I'm going to let her walk past. I don't trust her. If I shoot that with a shock bolt, bang. That shorts out the thing and opens the door. I mean, when she screams, she drains your stamina. I'm going to go through this door. We're going to pick up our first smoke bolt. Now, you can't craft weapons in this game unless you've like picked it up first. So like if I missed this smoke bolt, I wouldn't be able to create smoke bolts. So you need to have at least one in your inventory to be able to craft them.
This is the computer O'Neill was talking about. Let's try that password.
Show that it's IRL. Damn. Alright, so I'm going to craft an extra shock bolt here just for safety, because there's a really stupid shot coming up. In a proper PB attempt, the timer actually stops in the Marrow section, so we use that to our advantage to craft any or as much stuff as we need to, whether it be bolts or whatever. So the intended path is to go through that door, but that's slow. So if I sort of aim in this blood pool here, no, missed it. You can actually activate it from this side of the wall there. No, game.
Seems like things didn't go so well down here either.
Okay, let's try that again. It's a bit of a gross shot. That was like a pixel off the first shot. Anyway, that just saves you having to run through like that door and then go through a small vent system and waste a whole bunch of time. So coming up next is a little fun section. It's basically kill all the enemies to open door. So okay, so I'm gonna take out 3 of these guys before I do anything else. Sir. And when we go to this door, there's like a little, almost like an RE2 style signal puzzle. And if we activate it right away, Sebastian will talk. But if we... Oh, got ahead of myself. Basically, if that hand pops up on screen when we activate it, it skips this whole dialogue. And we can just do the puzzle right away. Okay. So now we're going to go and kill everything that we see. And that'll get the door moving. Okay. Okay. So this is a hysteric, and they can be really nasty too. Like, they're one of the early enemies that just deal lots of damage, and they're quick. So that's everyone that we need to kill. That was a pretty decent session, minus messing up that.
Hope that's it. Need to conserve ammo.
If I remember correctly, the old way to do it was to literally just stand, like, be on that ladder there, and eventually the game would just time out and go, alright, yeah, whatever, but it was worked out that you can just kill them really quickly. Okay.
Jesus, the smell.
So once we go through this this pit here, we're going to get into the section that was mentioned earlier, with the gas leak. Excuse me. And we can't use our weapon at all, so we have to just sort of move around as quickly as possible. There is a lament hanging around down there, so we're going to do what we can to avoid being grabbed. I'm going to pick up a bottle for safety, but when you do cover to cover, Sebastian kind of, like, he gets a bit low when he's running, and we can actually abuse that to get underneath her grab. So if we time it right and hit the angle, we can actually just cover to cover underneath her, and we don't have to worry about it all that much. But sometimes she'll just be in the worst spot, and you, like, can't really do anything about it. Like, sometimes, like, there's a... So if anyone's familiar with Resident Evil 2 Remake, which is being run later in the marathon, by the way, it's like you flick the switches, the fuse box kind of thing. So we got to do one of those, and she can just be waiting for you to finish that puzzle and then just grab you immediately. So we've got to be quick.
I'm actually one of the ones running the Resident Evil 2 remake.
There you go. Are you doing... I can't remember who's doing the rando. Are you doing the rando, or are you just doing the regular one?
I'm doing the rando.
Rando.
And I'm going to be telling bad jokes the whole time.
Hell yeah. Fun fact.
Fun
Fun fact.
Well.
That combination is the same as the sewers puzzle in RE2 Remake. Alright, so that's that section done. Thank God. This is a little bit... We're going to go through the Marrow... Like, we're in the Marrow, technically. We're going to exit the Marrow, and that's going to take us to Town Hall, where there's going to be some really interesting things happen. Also, one of my favourite parts of the game, because of just how ridiculous it is. I'm doing an equivalent to, like, stair skating, if you're familiar with, like, Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2 speedruns and stuff like that. And that's just because Sebastian kind of takes a moment to start sprinting, so I'm just negating that by... kind of like how the stair skating in RE2 works. Just getting a little boost of speed before he, you know, actually reaches his speed. You'll see it if I mess it up. He'll kind of, like, just move really slow for a step, and then he'll get his movement going. Okay.
Here it is. My way back into Union.
This is just a really short... Actually, I'm going to check my inventory, because, yeah, I did use some of those bolts. Alright, cool. Very short Marrow section here. So when we get to Town Hall, we're going to be faced with another Guardian, which is that big monster from the start that's, like, made of other body parts and stuff. And there's... In the casual playthrough, there's actually 2 achievements. There's one to kill the Guardian, or one to avoid the Guardian, which you can actually just cheese it and reload and autosave and just do the opposite of what you did previously, and you get both achievements in one playthrough. But we're going to avoid her, and it gets a bit tense sometimes, but we'll be fine. I should also mention, my plan is any death in this game, I'm going to donate $5. So, that could happen a few times, but there's one specific boss that if I die during, I'm going to donate $20 as a bit of, like, self-punishment.
And speaking of donating, we still have some incentives coming up. Pick the category and the ending for Trek to Yomi, which will be happening after this run, unless the Murder House bonus game is met, which is still at 35 of $200. And choose the Star Fox region for a Star Fox 64 points race. Also coming up after Trek to Yomi. Also, don't you like breathing? We need coral because it gives us oxygen. And if you like breathing and you like coral because you like breathing, you should donate.
That was a good one. I like that. Alright, so we're going to run to the left here. And we're going to try and cover to cover as best we can. Usually we're fine. If I wanted to be a bit more safe, I would shoot that, the petrol or gas if you're an American. Shoot that barrel. Okay, so I'm just sort of prepping myself for the next section. Sometimes those things are just in the worst spot. Alright, so I'm going to pick up our first instance of the explosive bolts, and then I'm going to drop this shock bolt there, bang. I'm going to hope to God that she doesn't come up on me too soon, because it's very close. Alright, we're good. Sometimes that's very, very scary. Though the blood on the screen indicates that she hit me somehow. Okay, good game. Alright. This guy, well, this woman, it's RNG which one you get waiting there for you, but yeah, they can hit you as well, and it's not great. Last thing you want is getting slapped out of pushing the trolley there. So now we're in Town Hall, and we're going to be introduced to another monster very soon, and we only see that monster a couple of times. But there's some really cool, like, Silent Hill type stuff going on in here. Like Silent Hill type stuff. Okay, so he's just talking about this stable field emitter, which basically... so if you haven't noticed by now, the world's falling apart. And that's because Lily's gone missing. Lily is the core. And so the stable field emitter is basically just this little device that, within a certain radius, actually just stabilizes everything. And so he's just been he was beaten up by that Guardian and doesn't make it. So he's asked us to activate the stable field emitter, and that is the Obscura. And the Obscura is quite popular in my chat. So it's a neat little puzzle here. It's like we got to put some jewelry on a mannequin and a rose in a vase, and then take a photo, and that'll open up the next area. That happened yesterday too. Okay. So if you go too quick, sometimes it doesn't register that you put the rose in the vase. Okay, and so now that backdrop is actually something we could run down. So we need to look at all of these paintings. Okay, interact with this. Now there's a little skip coming up that's kind of RNG as well, but basically we'd have to run halfway down that corridor a bit further to activate the next section. But if we activate this file about here, there we go. You'll hear that camera shutter. That's getting this the early skip. Okay.
This guy's playing with me.
And this is the typical rundown corridor a couple of times, then stuff happens. Horror game type trope. Okay. So Stefano's talking, so we've got I don't know, 20 seconds worth of silence that we wait for him to stop. If there's anything you want to talk about quickly.
I don't know that 20 seconds I can do any of my normal things, but I will ask, Because the only thing I remember, I've never played the second game, but I played the first one, is the weird chair in this game.
Yes, but we don't use it. You're talking about the upgrade chair, yeah?
Yeah, the chair of nightmares.
Yeah, no, it's in the game. It's in like the hub section. But because we don't need to actually upgrade anything that Sebastian does, we just don't use it. So we shoot Stefano there. That kind of speeds up the whole door closing process. In fact, Tatiana we saw very briefly exiting the safe house in Chapter 3, and that's the only time we see her throughout the whole game. In terms of like the speed run. Okay, I'm gonna angle my camera over here, and that'll sort of let Sebastian walk a little bit faster than if we were just walking directly facing the chair here. Ever so slightly, it's like minute, but it all adds up. Okay, so you said before that like 20 seconds wasn't really enough time to talk about anything. So how does like a minute and a half sound?
Well, I can do all kinds of things with a minute and a half.
Alright, so this is my favorite strat in this entire run. So what's it called? The Obscura is basically going to try and stop this stable field emitter. So we need to keep her occupied. So rather than waste the resources, she doesn't actually deal enough damage to kill us, because our health regenerates fast enough. So while this time is ticking down, I'm just going to tank hits. So you've got about a minute and a half to plug anything you need to plug. 10 out of 10 strat.
All right, that is certainly a strategy. Let's see, what do we got? We can, of course, say who we are. We are Green Gaming. Green Gaming, we're speedrunning to save the planet. Each year we pick a charity. This year we picked the Mother of Corals. We picked a charity that is looking to make an impact on our climate crisis. We only have one planet to live on, and we should do what we can to make sure we can coexist. We do have a milestone. If we can raise $1,000, we are currently at 252. Within the first 24 hours, Sinis would have to correct me on when that timer would end. But if we can raise 1,000 within that time frame, all of the submitted runs that didn't get selected will get into their own mini marathon at a later date. Which is kind of cool, because like having been rejected from marathons before, you know,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel
Oh
good.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And then coming up for incentives, we have we can add the bonus game Murder House after the Evil Within, and that will also be run by Tim Trollgasm here. We're currently at 35 out of $200 on that one. After that, we have who is running that? It just says Aishma playing Trek to Yomi, where we can pick both the character and the ending. Those are bid wars. Neither of them have any money put to them yet. And after that, we have a $50 incentive for the Star Fox 64 race to make the runners run in certain regions. Words would have to run on the JP version, and Safety to run on NTSC. I don't know if that's reverse of what they normally run, or what. I don't know enough about it. But that's where we are with that. It looks like you're done tanking.
Yeah. So that's a good tip for anyone playing this game their first time round on casual. It only really works on casual. On anything higher, you're gonna have to waste some ammo. But yeah, if you're playing on casual for your first time, just know that you can literally just stand there and just take the hits. In any percent, when you've got like the maxed out Magnum, you can actually kill her in half a dozen shots. But you know, we don't have that luxury. So okay. The stable field limiter's up. We're exiting the town hall, and we're gonna try and track down Stefano again. Pick up a few more little bits and bobs. Good chat, Kidman.
Figure out where each other.
Right, so we're going to find out. You see up to the top of the screen there that the camera's panning on now? That is the theater. That is where Stefano is hanging out and watching everything, and so we're going to go track him down.
The fight he wants, he's gonna get it. I just have to find my way there.
Okay, camera kind of locks a bit weird here to start with, so running there can be a bit gross and can actually lose a bit of time. If you hit that angle wrong, yeah, you got to like readjust yourself and you just lose a second or two. Okay. Manage some stamina. Okay, so we're going back into the marrow now. Nice. And we're going into a very slimy room. Let's just say that. But I assure you, chat, it's not what you think it is. Okay. So this was locked previously, so it's going to open for us now. It's just going to almost like we being invited somewhere.
Lily? This place is messing with my mind.
So coming up to this big staircase here, I'm not going to do the stairskate type thing just because, like, once Sebastian actually picks up his full speed, it's actually a bit quicker to just run. Though I will have to start because my stamina's looking a bit gross. Alright.
The hell is this stuff?
That's a lot of goo. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. This is so coming up is an instance where I'm going to be using the controller. So there are these sections in the game. There's only a couple of them, but basically the game will like go into this weird, like, camera. It's still over the shoulder, but it's this weird thing, and the aiming is just really off when you use, like, you can line up a shot and it'll still miss. But the aim assist in this game is like really good and just locks on to the head of anything you're aiming at. So I'm just going to use that just to save missing any shots. Just makes life a little bit easier. Because I hear a lot of people when they play this game say, oh, I didn't like it because the aiming was bad. And it's like, yes, they've done that intentionally. Especially in some of those sections. So I'm going to cover through here. So yeah, we're going to run to this door, think we're safe, and the watcher's just going to be like, no. So, bang bang. Easy. Aim assist doing its job.
For the watcher, I think I can speak for the rest of us when I say, gross.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not pretty.
Also, we have a donation for $10 from Anonymous. Comment is, I refuse to allow all of these bid wars remain unbidden. So they put $1 towards Trek to Yomi Ronin category, $1 towards Trek to Yomi Love Ending, $1 towards the janitor's assistant costume for Control, $1 towards the Leon Master Chief costume for the RE2, for my run, the RE2 Remake Randomizer.
Amazing.
$1 towards Lonk being the Majora's Mask file name. And $5 to Mr. X being dressed as Thomas the Tank Engine in my RE2 rando.
Oh, there's so many good mods for that game.
They're really, really
Every time I do a rando of RE2, I make a point to make Mr. X the goose from Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah, that's a good one. I generally have them all swap costumes and such every
Oh,
run.
yeah, cool.
There's one where you can make him the creepy little doll from the orphanage.
Yep.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. Oh, man. I still think someone needs to make a Macho Man Randy Savage mod for Mr. X. Just imagine that busting through the wall. Okay. So now we're coming up to the theater. There's a few little bits and pieces we need to do to actually gain access to it. Basically just Stefano playing more games. Just being arrogant and, you know, as you do. Okay. So you see these two paintings here? So we're going to have to find them in this little area of the game and destroy them. And that'll give us access to the theater. So yeah, Stefano just goes on this big rant about how we don't respect his art, and we're having none of it, so. Try and cover off this, this wall here. So there's a few of these hysterics floating around, but we can avoid her pretty easily. But the next one coming up can sometimes get a cheap shot on you. Pick up the nails, please. Game. Thank you. Okay. See if I can get this slide. No. Oh, we kind of got it. Okay, that was good. We didn't get hit there. Yeah, sometimes while you're climbing up, because you can still take damage when climbing on objects, so sometimes she'll just get right up you and hit you a couple of times while you're climbing and can't defend yourself. Okay. I'm gonna pull one of these out. So that's a safety. So we can do this section without being chased, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. It's like a RNG kind of thing. So yeah, we're gonna get pulled into this painting, and it happens twice. And there's these little. We've got to do a couple little things, mainly involving electrified tripwires, which is always fun. And, you know, for added spookiness, said tripwires are barbed wire. Okay, so the Obscura is floating around. This will be the last time we see the Obscura. Okay. So if we hang around here for just a sec, there's a more likely chance that she won't be around here when we come this way. Yeah, okay, cool. She can still catch us, so I'm not saying we're out of the woods yet, but yeah, if we just float around that sort of side of that room for a second, more often than not, she'll head that way, but sometimes she just disregards it altogether, is waiting for you. So that's cool, that saved us a bolt.
So are most of the doors button mashy like that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's neat, huh?
Sounds excruciating on my wrist.
Well, I am mashing with both controller and keyboard, so it's not like both arms are getting a bit of a workout, but you know.
Does the game allow you to use basically both at the same time?
Yeah, absolutely it does. I'm not sure who decided to try that, but yeah, it's been a thing in this run for the longest time. It's like when I'm mashing, you'll see it'll pop up with like E and joy, and it's just like going between the controller and the keyboard.
Yeah, RE2 Remake lets you do that too, just
yeah.
in an instant swap.
Yeah.
Speaking of, well, actually, this has nothing to do with RE2 Remake. We do have a $20 donation from Foxy Jira. Comment says, here's the Kinsei mode for Trek to Yomi. So that's $20 towards Kinsei being the character for Trek to Yomi. Thank you for your donation, Foxy Jira. And thank you for your donation, anonymous person who put like $1 on 5 different Bit Wars also.
Okay. So we're just heading over to this this bar here to do the second painting. Yeah, I never quite progressed to using the keyboard in RE2R runs. I was always a controller guy. And that just comes from being a console runner for the first 12 months of running it.
I at some point did because my Xbox controller broke, so it was I gotta run it on something.
Yeah, that's fair. Excuse me. So after we pick up this key, like if we need the ammo, it kind of just randomly spawns there, but we're not going to worry about that. We should have more than enough. But yeah, just another little tip for casual runs. Okay, so we've got a little gate that we need to open, which again is more mashing. There are monsters here, but for the most part, they kind of just scream at you. And very rarely will they actually attack you. They'll just, yeah. They just kind of... They do nothing, as you just saw. Or they'll literally just stand right next to you and scream. And that's pretty much all you get. And then I think I've had one instance where he tried to grab me, but it glitched out and he didn't connect anyway. So it's just weird programming with the basic enemies there. They kind of just... More than happy to just yell at you than actually hurt you. Okay, so about there. So as you can see, there's this tripwire that I'm trying to avoid because that deals some pretty big damage too. Okay. Right, so now that we've done both paintings, we can actually head back to the theater and we go through some more like crazy stuff. Like a really cool section coming up. But ultimately this is like, hey, we're going to go fight Stefano. Like Sebastian's just had enough of him. And to be fair, I think Stefano's had enough of Sebastian too. Say goodbye to the Guardian because this is the last time we see Guardians. I am going to be really cautious in this section because on this particular version of the game, if the Guardian gets too close to you while you're entering the theater doors, the game can and probably will crash, it's like a 40-second time loss. It's just reloading the game and loading up the last checkpoint. But yeah, if she gets too close, the game could crash. In fact, it happened to me not yesterday, the day before. So like the game is run on 1.0 for two reasons. The glitches for any percent and the fact that the live split, the auto splitter doesn't actually work on the patched versions. Like it only works on the 1.0, which is weird. So not a whole lot we can do here. He's just kind of talking and, you know, making himself out to be like this big tough guy.
They wasted it because they had no imagination. Because they are not artists.
So while we can't really do anything, we're just gonna pick up any resources. Wow, okay. That's random.
The rare antivirus. Well, I guess not a CTD. It just minimized you. At least it didn't crash you.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I thought it was a hard crash, and I'm thinking what? But I mean, that's definitely that's never happened before moment. Would you like to open the door, Stefano?
That's never happened before. I've never had my antivirus minimize my game in the middle of a run.
Not a marathon run, at least. This part is really cool too. It's very like trippy. It seems really overwhelming and like scary the first time you do it because you can get one hit killed, but it's actually very, very easy. There is a riskier strat that I'm not going to go for, purely because if Sebastian is running as he jumps over the edge, he takes a little bit longer to get moving, which can be really bad. So we save that for like, you know, PB attempts, but for marathons we're gonna take it. Let's call it slow. So there we go. So now it's pretty smooth sailing. Because it's like, it's 2 seconds or 3 seconds or something for that light to be on you before it actually does anything. So you can just kind of leg it. Okay. Find our cover point here. That'll do. That. Okay, easy.
This sort of reminds me of the Scarecrow portions of the Arkham games.
Yes, I've had a few people say that before, yeah. I've never played... I mean, I've played one of the Arkham games, but I never got far into it, so I don't know what they're actually talking about. But yeah, no, I've definitely heard people mention it before. Okay, so I'm going to pick up some resources. Okay, I'm going to pick up these nails for later so I don't have to pick some up towards the end of the game. Okay, so this is back where we started in STEM, in the theatre here. So yeah, all the doors that were locked in the intro section are now open, obviously. We're just gonna streamline and head straight for Stefano because I'm sick of him. Okay, so I'm gonna be switching between controller and mouse and keyboard for this fight. Okay, so that was a good phase one. Now he goes Super Saiyan.
Wait, are you switching like mid-fight or between phases you're switching?
Between phases. Sometimes I'll switch mid-fight depending on how well I'm playing, but... because he sort of teleports around the room, so you do have moments where you can just kind of do what you need to do. Oh, that's new. Oh, I missed that shot. That one's on me. So he's going to be over here now. He generally has like pretty predictable spawns, but there are some things he'll say that determine how he's going to approach attacking you. So bleed for me is like he's just going to be teleporting around. Philistine is he's just going to charge you. And when he says prepare to die, he's just gonna do that. Bang. Alright, so that's Stefano. Stefano's dead. Now, in your first playthrough, you're gonna think, oh, okay, cool, that's the end of the game. Mad, let's go. But no, we're only halfway through. This is the halfway point.
I was about to say, we've still got like over an hour left on the timer.
Mm-hmm. So this is where the game goes from Silent Hill fan is photography major into Hell Cult and Slayer fans. So it's going to get really, really orange.
Yeah, the first half of the game did have a very Silent Hilliness to it.
Yeah. Yeah, this whole section from here on out is very much like, you know, hell and... you can see.
Do you get to rip and tear is the real question.
Let's say yes, in a manner of speaking. As much as an alcoholic detective can. Alright, so I'm just picking up... I wouldn't normally pick those up in a PB sort of attempt, but you know, marathon, so we're gonna play it a bit safe. I will, however, craft, let's say 2 of them. There's not really many marrow sections left to do this kind of stuff, so we are sort of limited to doing it in-game, but in an RTA, a run like this, it's not going to matter too much.
So you use in-game time for actual timing?
Yes, which is completely broken, by the way. It's one of those few games where the in-game timer doesn't match up to your RTA timer or the live split timer. So that's always fun. It's a very broken live split. If you haven't noticed already, there's a little quirk with the timer where if Sebastian gets hit, he actually the timer actually pauses for like 3 seconds. It's really odd. So it makes retiming PBs for the mods really, really frustrating. Alright, so we're going to kill these 2 guys because they're going to be a bit annoying later on if I don't. Okay, took a little bit longer to line that up than I would have liked. So I'm going to place a shock bolt here. That's going to come in handy in just a moment. And so to get through this gate that's locked, I need to get a like a valve wheel or a crank. Very, very typical horror game type stuff. And so coming out of this room, a Lost is going to be just charging down that hallway. So I'm going to try and place my shot to make my life very easy. Okay, no, I got him. Good. Okay. If you miss that, he kind of runs around here and he activates that shock bolt that I put down a second ago earlier, which then causes the issue of the Lost coming out while you're trying to do this. And quite often they'll knock you out of this state and you end up having to like kill them all and just waste a couple of minutes. It's awful.
So even once you're in a door opening sequence or what have you, you could still be knocked out of it?
Yeah. Yeah, they don't mess around either. They'll just come right up to you and just slap you. Okay. So see how much? Yeah, alright, we're good. So coming up is a really gross bit too. We're going to be introduced. So those big boys that we saw during that opening cutscene going into this sort of heli section, they're called disciples, and they are absolute units. You can shoot them in the face with a shotgun point blank range, and they'll just kind of go, "Oh, that was rude," and then come for you again. So we're going to use this. We'll hopefully use these harpoon bolts to take out a leg and then just stomp them when they're on the ground and insta-kill them. But they also have a nice little quirk where they can actually ignite when they're on the ground, preventing you from stomping them. So we've got to be quick about all of it. Because this is a very death-heavy section if you're not careful. So at the moment, this bloke's just the new villain, obviously. He's just basically playing mind games by making out like he's Lily, and you know, Lily is like angry with you, and yeah, just mad mind games because he's trying to get you to join his little cult.
Who are you? What do you want with me?
Okay. So this is going to be a big old debate too. This is not actually Lily.
Is that Lily?
That is decidedly not Lily.
Lily's been working out. Okay, so try and take out that leg. Okay. Oh, missed that one. Okay, so they'll like try and football charge you. Oh my god, I missed that shot as well. Alright. That was not wonderful, but it also wasn't terrible. Ideally, you want to just hit those leg shots first try. But we escaped that pretty well, I think. Okay, so we're gonna activate this. And then while that's doing the little dialogue, we're gonna pick up some resources. Just, you know, save time. Okay. It's got this little puzzle coming up. It's ridiculously simple, the combination, but I don't even want to tell you how much time I wasted on this puzzle my first playthrough. So we start from this side. It's 2 to the right. Then we go 1 over 1, and then it's 1 to the right. And then we go over 1, and then it's 2 to the right. And then I'll bet you can guess what the last one is.
3 to the left.
3 to the left, absolutely. 1 to the right, and that's it. Yeah, so 2, 1, 2, 1. Easy.
Sometimes puzzles are just too simple, and you convince yourself, no, there's no way the answer is that easy.
Exactly.
It's not possible.
Yep.
It's gotta be more complicated than
Yeah.
that.
There's being like, oh, look at these fools.
If I ever had a game, one of the combinations in it would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because no one would ever guess it.
So in the X-Files speedrun, there's a section where you're supposed to like look at these documents and find the password for the keypad on there. But you can literally just press 1 5 times and it works. I don't know whether it was some like testing thing that they had, but yeah, you don't even have to look at the files. It's just like, oh, just hit a whole bunch of 1s and that works too.
To be fair, there are real security keypads that have like default keys like that.
There you go. Alright. So, do we have any RE4 fans? Because this is pretty much standard RE4 cabin section.
I love RE4. Before RE2 Remake, it was my favorite RE.
Oh, there you go. It's definitely my favorite Resident Evil. Followed by RE2 Remake. So again, using the controller for this section, just because like headshots are free. And she should be dead. Why aren't you dead? Okay. So this is just kill all enemies in area, and then the game will progress. So it's not timed like the cabin section in RE4, but yeah, it's definitely the same kind of vibe.
Yeah. Are headshots always kills? Or
Not always. It does more damage. It does more damage for sure, but it's kind of RNG whether or not it's an insta kill. Like old mate here was he's just chilling.
Alright, well, while you're slaughtering these zombies in a cabin, I will talk about so upcoming incentives. That looks like the Murder House incentive. Nope. Oh wait, there it is. It just got moved down the list for some reason. Adding Murder House after this game is at $35 out of 200. That's a bonus game, also run by Tim Trollgasm. After that, we've got Trek to Yomi. We have $21 to $1. $20 to $1 to pick the category. Kinsei is winning at 20 to 1. With the ending, we have $1 currently winning with the love ending, and we are at 0 of $50 for Star Fox 64 to run on the Japanese version of the game.
Okay, so after we kill this spawn, that's the cabin section done. Alright. Cool. So that was alright. So this woman is going to introduce herself as Torres, and she's going to go on this big sort of explanation as to what the hell's going on. So this part is very like slow moving. So it's definitely another area where you can like talk about incentives or the charity or green gaming as a thing and whatever else.
Can do. Speaking of green gaming, we are Green Gaming. Green Gaming is speedrunning to save the planet. Each year we pick a charity that is looking to make an impact on the climate crisis. We only have one planet to live on, and we should do what we can to make sure we can coexist. And, Tim, I have to ask, do you like breathing? Like, is that a thing you like to do regularly?
Oh, from time to time, yeah.
Me too. I'm a big fan of oxygen, making it into my lungs. You know what helps that happen? Mother of Corals. Mother of Corals' mission is simple. We rely on coral reefs for a lot. They produce a significant amount of the world's oxygen, and more than 1 billion people rely on reefs for their livelihoods. The coral reefs are in trouble, and now more than ever, we need to return the favor. At Mother of Corals, we provide the tools and training to enable coastal communities to create, maintain, and share artificial coral reef habitats with the public in order to increase their environmental and economic sustainability. We like coral reefs because we like breathing. Don't you all out there like breathing? You should donate because you like breathing. Oxygen's important.
Got it. I'll just...
Cool. So at this, there's still a little bit more like slow walking, like, hey, here's plot points. But so far, Torres has basically explained. So I didn't mention it earlier, but after the Stefano fight, there's a cutscene we skipped where we've learned that Sebastian's wife is actually in STEM and joined Mobius as a way, because she did all this investigating because she was a detective as well, and learned that Lily had been taken by Mobius, and so she joined up with Mobius, and she's got this plan to sort of get Lily out, and it's all gone to poop. So the plan was, hey, if everything goes bad, we get Sebastian in, and so Torres is just filling us in on this whole thing that, it's gone bad, that's why you're here. So she's just telling us what's going on. And then he mentions Theodore, who is the big bad now that we've defeated Stefano. So yeah, there's still probably a minute worth of, like, hey, here's plot to make things make sense. So yeah, you got a bit more time if there's anything you need to talk about.
Of course. If Theodore is the main bad guy, he must have already killed off Alvin and Simon. What else can I talk about? Oh, merch. We have a merch store. I think, yeah, if you scroll up a little bit, or maybe exclamation point merch, we'll say. No, exclamation point merch does not, or maybe it has to be done by a mod. I'm not sure. Regardless, we have a, oh, there it is. Yeah, you should check out the merch store. There's some really cool stuff, designs in there. There's a glow-in-the-dark beanie that there's pictures of in the Discord, and it's really awesome looking. And $5 of every purchase from the merch store goes towards the charity. Also, if you're just in it for the prizes, that's okay. You should be in it for the oxygen, but if you're in it for the prizes, if you donate a total of $40 over the course of the marathon, you will be in the running for the Devolver Digital Game Pack. There are, I guess, 15 of those to give out. There's 10 games in the pack: Disc Room, Ape Out, Shadow Warrior 3, Pikuniku, the Hotline Miami Collection, which is both games, Death's Door, My Friend Pedro, Katana Zero, The Messenger, and Gris, or maybe Gree. I think it's Gris. It's Gris. I've played about half of those games. All of them were really, really good. Also from Devolver Digital, if you donate at least $5, you'll have a chance to win Cult of the Lamb, which only came out like maybe 3-4 weeks ago. It's a pretty new game, and I've seen a few people play it, and it's pretty hilarious. And return to Monkey Island if you're a fan of the Monkey Island series. What else? Also for $5, you could be entered to win the Crack Pet Show. I don't know anything about that game. It's an action-packed roguelike shoot 'em up about mutated animals that fight in a bizarre TV show, crushing their opponents with a variety of weapons. Okay, I like a lot of those words.
Let's go. Alright, so this section is pretty straightforward. It's like, the game's like, hey, maybe you should be stealthy here, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to run. And we're going to shoot a smoke bolt at a certain point just to try and blind one of these disciples. And if all goes to plan, Torres will follow us without like starting any fights. Because ideally we want to fight as little as possible.
Well, yeah, it's called speed running, not speed fighting.
That's right, yes. Alright, so this guy here is going to be like, hey! See, he's going to have a bit of a yell, and then we're just going to put that smoke bolt there, and then running this side of the ute seems to trigger Torres to move a bit faster, but that doesn't guarantee that she won't be followed. Yeah, so she's like fighting him at the moment. Torres, please. What are you doing, dude? This is like the worst RNG I think I've ever had in this section. Oh god. Alright, so they're giving up for some reason. Okay, that was really weird. That is another... That's 2 for this marathon of a... That's never happened before. I've seen her fight 1, but not 3 at one time. That was weird, dude.
Somebody clip that. We've got a that's never happened before.
That was a twofer. See how many more let's see if we can get a hat trick this run. Okay, so I'm a bit short on shotgun shells, but I think there's some coming up.
And if you need a hat to throw in the ring if he makes the hat trick, you know where you can get one? At the merch store. You can get an awesome beanie and then throw it at somebody when he gets the hat trick.
Hell yeah.
So from the sounds of you skipping that dialogue, there's no way to just skip the whole conversation. You have to skip it line by line.
No, it's definitely one of those you have to skip it line by line. There are some where you can just skip a whole cutscene just by holding one button, but yeah, it's a lot of it is you've got to do it line by line.
It could be worse. It could make you hear the whole thing anyway.
Oh, there's one coming up later in the run that you can't skip, and it's a very long one. That's the designated toilet break.
Well, that'll give me plenty of time to tell people about green gaming
Absolutely.
and Mother of Corals.
Okay, so we go. Okay, just picking up some stuff. Okay, so we're going into a very like Resident Evil type section here. It's like absolutely lab sections of RE games. That should be enough shot bolts, actually. Where are we at? Yeah, alright, I'm just being safe here. Okay. So we're going to meet up with Hoffman just briefly before we go into the labs. Here's a code for you. Well, we're going to meet up with Hoffman's, like, ghost. It's like another signal. As you can see, Theodore's managed to find his way into the Marrow, which makes things a bit yikes.
Hoffman, you here? Another one of these. What happened here?
Okay, we can't actually, like, skip that. We actually have to lock onto the signal, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, so through this elevator is where we get into the lab section. It's pretty straightforward. There's a really cool bit coming up using a drill. That's all I'm going to say for now.
Alright, well, I've got a minute. We have a $10 donation from Gertie that says, "Good luck to all the runners and GG to those that have already done their run. Love the overlay, by the way." Well, thank you for your donation, Gertie. That will go to Mother of Corals, who is hoping to help create artificial coral reefs so that we can still breathe, because we need breathing. Oxygen's important.
Okay, so Hoffman's like following like signals from O'Neill. O'Neill's just sort of gone like MIA. So she's trying to find him, and she's a bit confused as to why he would be down here, which makes sense given that previously he wouldn't even leave his safe house to help Sebastian locate his daughter. So things are a bit like, what's going on here? So we need a cerebral chip to be able to enter where Hoffman has gone. So we're going to find one in here.
Oh, good. I was hoping we'd see some head drilling during the run somewhere.
Yeah, it's not a good run unless there's head drilling.
I mean, I was a little sad after you told me we wouldn't be using the creepy chair, but, you know, the head drilling makes up for it.
Absolutely, it makes up for it. Alright, so we've got the cerebral chip. We're not going to implant it, thankfully. But we've got it. Okay. So, in case you couldn't tell, red light means bad. And now there's a whole bunch of monsters hanging around. So I'm going to try and taking this a bit slow. Bang. Alright. So basically we just want to shoot that shock bolt down there just so that she can't, like, scream at us and grab us and make life difficult for us. So, alright. Pick up whatever resources we can. Okay, she still managed to scream at me. That's interesting. Alright, so. We were worried about O'Neill a second ago. Well, we're about to meet up with O'Neill. So I'll explain this fight afterwards, just because it's a bit, like, finicky to...
That's good, because I believe this requires an explanation.
It does, yeah. It's such a gross fight. Oh my god. Alright. So that first phase is just shoot a shock bolt to stun him, and then we want to pump him with ammo. And now I'm just going to hit him with every explosive bolt I can. Sometimes he, like, just doesn't even register that he's been hit by an explosive bolt, but he seems to be cooperating. Alright, That's O'Neill. That was the boss fight mentioned previously, that if I was to die, I would donate $20, but that wasn't great, but, I mean, we lived, so.
I mean, currently, you're over. You have no deaths.
Oh, there's still a chance, trust me. Okay, so yeah, should be right.
There's a lot going on that you don't know about. Theodore wants
Okay, so yeah, basically what happened there was that Theodore got into O'Neill's head and corrupted him, and then he became what's called a Harbinger. And they're big, tough guys that get around with flamethrowers and make life hard for everyone. Like Disciples are tanks, but like Harbingers are way worse. And they've got that range with the flamethrower.
I don't know that I've ever played a game where guys with flamethrowers weren't just bad news.
Yeah, you've got a point.
stable field emitter. Whatever it is, O'Neill said to destroy it. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, so we're going to give Torres a ring now, and she's going to come and blow this contraption up, which, as Sebastian just said, looks a lot like a stable field emitter, but we're going to get rid of it. Because O'Neill tinkered with it after having been corrupted.
I'm almost ready over here. Let me know when you're good to go. I'm going to check out the equipment in the other room. Good luck, you two.
This has one of the cheesiest lines.
Okay,
Just a
here we
sec.
go. Operation Kick Ass happening in 3, 2, 1.
Outstanding writing.
That's a terrible operation name.
Awful.
Torres?
We love Torres, though.
Where'd you?
Torres goes alright. Alright, so Theodore's messing with us again. And now we're in this, like, weird, hellish hell section.
Well, luckily there's a Dark Souls fire right over there.
Oh God.
Okay.
Really?
I'm just gonna sort of refill some ammo while I'm attempting to manage stamina here. Alright, we're good. Okay, just gonna refill the stamina by healing there. Try and take care of her. And then we've got what's called a glutton. And these guys like self-destruct. And he's a bit further away than I would have liked him to have been. Alright, we're good. So they deal huge damage. That might be bad because he's still spotted me. This might be an instance where you see me get knocked out of this state. Or assuming he hits me. Yeah, okay, see, there you go. Okay, so I'm gonna pick up this axe. Oh. There you go, there's that bottle coming into play. So this is what I mean when I say, like, you can lose a lot of time by getting knocked out of those states, because if he had not done that, I'd be well and truly into the next section by now. So that's unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. Okay. And so now we're basically just like running to... You might be able to make it out, but there's like a door at the end of this room here, so we're just aiming for that. There's the old Bugs Bunny have a door sort of thing, except we're not actually going to open it like Bugs Bunny, we're just going to walk around it, because that's logical. Okay, I'm going to pick up this doll, we get another little cutscene of Lily being like, no, you're bad, terrible father, and then it's going to cut to another little area in this little hellscape. Just trying to mess with his head as much as humanly possible to get him to join up with him.
No. No, this isn't right.
This part's pretty straightforward. You'll see these weird, like, contraptions here, and basically we're just going to try and cover to cover off all of them. Okay, go to this one, I think. Yep. Okay. And then we're heading for that light at the end of the room there. That's a very great place for a spawn. Thank you. Good stuff. Alright, cool. Easy. So now we're going to get more of this this dialogue here. And then we're going to go into like a dream sequence, which has a fun little thing in it that I'll point out. So you've probably got maybe 30 seconds to a minute or something if you need to say anything.
I do. I need to find her. Then come to me. Lily, is it really you?
Debated again. It's not actually Lily. So yeah, this is like
Come on, man.
this section's a bit longer too, where it's like, oh, stuff's happening. But then yeah, after this little dream sequence is going to be a really long section where you can read out donations and incentives and all that kind of stuff. Late game has a lot of that, where it's just like unavoidable, unskippable cutscenes, which seems odd that you'd be able to skip them so early in the game, and then the rest of the game's just like, nah, you can suffer through it.
You can't let her get to you. You gotta give that son of a bitch some payback.
Sebastian? What's wrong? Are you alright? You've been working too hard. It's making you delirious.
Myra? Torres, where? I'm home. How did I?
Okay, so we're just gonna run down the stairs here, and there's like a note that Myra left. It's basically, it's a dream sequence, but it's like, hey, this is what happened when like Myra left him a note, and Sebastian's like, oh god, maybe she was right the whole time. Just more plot stuff, basically.
Letter. Myra's last communication. It was hidden with her files. It sounded so crazy at the time. I should have believed her.
Maybe.
So if you look at the communicator on Sebastian's belt,
She's always been
it's currently horizontal, and when I gain control, it's going to flip around, and it's really cool. Whoop.
guilt for what? It's their fault, not mine. They took everything from me. I didn't start any of this, but I'm gonna finish it. And God help anybody that stands in my way.
All right, so this is a long section I mentioned, so feel free to talk about anything.
What? What happened?
She brought you here. I'm sorry, Sebastian. I tried to save her, but
Think your mic died? Oh, that's no good.
the bullet wound was superficial. She died from injuries sustained in a battle with those things.
Yeah, no, I can't hear you, Cheese, so could be a thing.
She didn't have to die like that. She was a good soldier.
What about now?
Okay, now I can hear you. Yeah, I can definitely hear you now. Yep.
Save Lily.
I don't know how many things I've said. But
Oh, yeah, it's like, oh, I asked him to say some stuff and he's not talking, so I probably cut you off a few times, actually.
It's all good. I was just talking about the Devolver Digital Pack that you
okay.
can win if you donate at least $40. It has 10 games for Devolver Digital.
It's not your
Some awesome games. Discrew, Ape Out, amazing game. Shadow Warrior 3, amazing game. Piku Niku, the Hotline Miami Collection, which has 1 and 2, both amazing games. Death's Door, amazing game. My Friend Pedro, haven't played. Katana Zero, amazing game. The Messenger, super amazing game. And Gris, haven't played. But I assume, based on Devolver Digital's profile, probably pretty amazing.
But he's the one who did this, not me.
And you have a chance to win one of those packets if you donate at least $40 over the course of the marathon. And of course, what is this marathon for? Well, we are holding this marathon in support of Mother of Corals. Their mission is simple. We rely on coral reefs for a lot. They produce a significant amount of the world's oxygen, and more than 1 billion people a year rely on reefs for their livelihoods. Coral reefs, however, are in trouble. And now more than ever, we need to return the favor. At Mother of Corals, we provide the tools and training to enable coastal communities to create, maintain, and share artificial coral reef habitats with the public in order to increase their environmental and economic sustainability. I like breathing, so we should keep our coral reefs around. Those are important.
Okay, so we're going back to that first sort of, well, not necessarily the first, but the area around where the theater was, back before we fought Stefano. But you're going to notice that it's definitely changed a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. And let me just get this right weapon out before we do this, because it's a bit yikes sometimes. There's a lot of harbingers around, a lot of disciples and stuff, and Theodore's got this giant stronghold fortress built that we've got to get to, and it's a fun time. So, also fun fact: if you missed the sniper rifle in chapter 3 or 4 of this game, it's literally here. If Sebastian would like to cooperate, yeah, just completely intact, chilling on top of this building here. Whereas if you get it early game, you actually have to collect parts for it and reassemble it. So yeah, if you can sort of live without it for the first sort of 2/3 of the game, it's just there waiting for you. Okay, I'm gonna shock. Okay, now it's cool. Sometimes he'll explode early, and it's bad. This bloke here, I seem to have a bit of trouble with a lot in regards to him just exploding on me. But we're good. We got that. That's what we like to see. Oh, okay. That's rude. Okay. So we're going back into this building that we were in before, where one of the paintings was, to meet up with Hoffman, and she's gonna sort of explain the plan, which is basically we've got a portable, stable field emitter, and we're going to use that to get through the flames that are blocking our pathway. Which is another instance where I'll be using controller, because it's just easier. So yeah, then the issue with this prototype is that it's like, well, it's a prototype, so it tends to break down a lot, and poor Hoffman gets to carry it. So this is another section. It's kind of like you got to kill all the disciples to get through, but at certain times Hoffman will actually stop and try and repair the machine. So I wouldn't say it's timed, but it's definitely like at set points she will do X, you know. And so this is just a matter of keeping the disciples off her back. Which is another one of those sections where if you want to talk, now's a good time.
I can always talk. Let's see. Upcoming incentives, we've got, we're at $35 out of $200 to add Murder House to the marathon directly following this game, which you've got, what, probably 25-30 minutes left in this?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
I'm just looking at the estimate versus current timer.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been getting consistent 218s, so we got about, where we at? Yeah, about 20
if
minutes, I
somebody
think.
wants to come in big and finish that one off before this game finishes, we'll get Murder House, any percent glitchless, by 7 Trollgasm, of course.
It is a very cool run. It's short, but it's really worth it, so...
If that incentive does not get met, our next game will be Eshma with Trek to Yomi, which has 2 incentives, category and ending. Currently in category, Kinsei is beating out Ronin with $20 to 1. And for ending, Love is currently winning at $1. And after that will be Star Fox 64 Score Attack, Safety Man versus Wordsayer 19. And there's a $50 incentive on that one to make Words play on the Japanese version instead of NTSC. I believe earlier they said that's a point difference of like 4 points. Yeah, 4 points out of 2,500 over the course of the run.
Okay, so you just hopefully saw then an instance of what this game tends to do a lot, and that is, for some reason, bullets can just go through the monsters. You're shooting them, you're hitting them, but it just doesn't register that there's been a hit, so that's always fun when you're in the middle of a boss fight or something and the game just decides that, yeah, hitboxes aren't a thing. Yeah, there's just a few more that we need to take down, and then that'll be this section over.
Alright, and also, within the first 24 hours of the marathon, which, like I said, Seneth would have to come in and tell me when that ends, because it's not marked on this, at least as far as I can tell. If we get hit, we're at $292 total right now. If we can hit 1,000 before we hit 24 hours, we will have another mini marathon at a later date that will contain all of the runs that were submitted but didn't get accepted to this one. We wanted to accept everybody, but, you know, people have to sleep. Seneth specifically has to sleep sometimes.
I don't like sleeping. I don't know what you're talking about.
Whether
But,
you like it or you don't, you have to do it.
So our 24 hours ends in about an hour and a half.
Alright, so all you big money donators out there, you better get on it. Also, we're helping out coral reefs, so those are important because we all like breathing.
Hoffman, what's happening?
It's failing again. Hold on.
Hurry up, it's getting hot in here.
And you can win some cool prizes.
Okay,
Like
so
Crack Pet Show.
this should be the last guy. So that, once he's dead, it'll play this little cutscene, and then we're getting into like the sort of final area of the game. So there's still about 20-ish minutes left, a little bit more. But yeah, this is where everything's kind of like really sort of starts to happen. Like,
This game really changed tones at the middle.
absolutely did, yes.
After all of this, I'm the only one left.
Okay, just gonna check all this stuff. There's a really cool part coming up very soon for like fans of the first game. So, so I might pick some extra stuff up actually, just to be safe. I need a specific amount of like ammunition for the final boss in terms of bolts. So. Might just pick up some extras to be safe. So yeah, it's more of the same. Theodore's just getting a bit more ballsy, and he's like, you know, carrying on a bit. But it's Sebastian's at this point now where he's no longer sort of falling for Theodore's stuff, and he's just ready to end him basically.
He's straight up done with them shenanigans.
That's exactly it. He had everyone, like his wife, in the cutscene, and like Torres and everyone else being like, no, it's not your fault. What happened? You just need to move on and blah blah blah. And every time something happens, and he starts to complain, and Hoffman goes, "No, man, just chill." And he's like, oh, "You're right." Hoffman died in that last cutscene, by the way. F in the chat for Hoffman.
Rip Hoffman.
Okay, so, oh. Okay, that's great. Sometimes they will block you. This guy here, you have to make sure he's dead. Because he can definitely attack you during this cutscene. Much like earlier in the game, I explained some of these cutscenes with like doors and stuff you can be attacked through. I've had runs die to being killed in this cutscene because of him. So always good to double check that he's dead. That was good. That was a rare instance where a shotgun to the face actually killed him. Okay, so that gate's open. We're going to go up here. There's going to be more of Theodore in our ear. We're just going to use that time to sort of reload stuff. And now that we've got that sniper rifle, I need that. So I'm going to equip this. And then I'm going to actually craft a bunch of stuff that we need. That should be enough, yeah. Actually, just for safety, I will craft another shock bolt. And you'll see why. So yeah, just a few little puzzles that we need to get through to get up this fortress with, and getting close to the end of this fortress area. More mashing. Oh, what happened? I hit the B button by mistake. Go me.
You know, video games always have these, giant gouts of flame, like, that you have to turn off. Like, do
Yeah.
these people check their gas bill?
Theodore has no need for gas bills. He owns this joint. Let's go. Yeah, so normally I wouldn't pick up this kind of stuff. It's just, in case I need it. Fun fact, if I don't have enough ammo when I walk through this trigger point here, ammo will literally spawn from the ceiling. But we've got enough, so it didn't. Like, it's not even, like, subtle. It just drops from the ceiling. Alright, so we're gonna...
That's kind of hilarious.
Okay, get that. Bang. Okay, that's just for safety, just because we don't want to deal with him. Oh, I thought I missed that shot. Okay, so this part's a bit silly. It's we got to pull this lever, and it's gonna close this here, but eventually it's gonna like open all these gates, and then a staircase will come out, and we got there. But in the meantime, we have to deal with 3 of these guys. So I'm gonna smoke bolt this fella, kill him, or hopefully kill him, and then try to deal with the other 2 as best I can without taking too much damage. Nice. Alright, cool. That wasn't too bad.
This Theodore guy sounds sounds pretty legit. Maybe you should take him up on his offer.
Well, here's the thing. So once we come out of this cutscene, he's like, well, if you're not going to join me, then I'm going to kill your wife and blah, 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 blah. And then he's like, come on, you know, bring it at me. And then he's going to do the complete opposite and not fight you at all. So he talks a big game. He's all bark. He's no bite.
Not if I kill you first. What makes you think this? I'll keep coming back until one of us is dead.
Right, so he says that, come to me, let the carnage begin. But, in actual fact, he's not going to fight us. He's literally just going to throw 3 enemies from the first game at us. It's a bit of, like, I suppose, fan service. But, yeah, it's like, he won't even fight his own battle. So right now, it's like a like a boss rush. So up first, we've got the Sadist, who, if you've played the first one, is absolutely terrifying in the opening part of the game. But this also sort of signifies Sebastian overcoming all the trauma and issues from the first game.
Enough of this shit. Not this time.
Oops, knife in your neck.
Yeah. This is like so 80s action hero type stuff.
You think this will stop me?
And now we get just a stupid amount of blood.
And yet only a very small amount, relatively, on Sebastian.
Yeah, because
Must have some serious Scotchguard going on.
absolutely. And so now we're being dragged to another little arena here, and we're going to fight the Keeper, who is Pyramid Head. I can talk. Pyramid Head's like cousin. If I can get a quick shot off here, it should be a very quick fight. Otherwise, I'll have to like run around him. No. Alright. So if you get a quick shot off, he like stuns and you can absolutely put him down like really quickly. But that wasn't too bad. And so another 2 are going to spawn. So there's one. He's standing up. Bang. Okay. Let's quickly reload. And the other one should be there. Yep. Oh, that was weird. Okay. Cool. Alright, and now we get to take on everyone's favourite sister, Laura. This is pretty simple. It's just like shoot shock bolt, turn valve, repeat, and then just burn her when she gets within a certain radius of the center of the room. I have had an instance where she's basically just disregarded that shock bolt, but she took that like a champion just now, so that's fine.
And now, is there already RNG in this fight, or does she always kind of come from the same directions?
It just depends on how fast you are with your movement. If you're pretty spot on, it's pretty samey the whole time. But yeah, sometimes if you're just a bit slow, or yeah, it's like she can spawn from a different area. But yeah, like as long as your movement is the same every time, you can guarantee she'll spawn here and then here, and so like putting that shock bolt there is kind of like a fail safe in case she decides she doesn't want to spawn through that body like she did. Sometimes I think putting that shock bolt there is more of an encouragement for her to spawn there, so you know to get around the other way. But yeah, if your movement's the same every time, it's very rare that she'll do something different. Okay, so in the cutscene that we just skipped, Theodore and Sebastian have some words, and then Myra actually comes in from behind and kills Theodore, and then decides that she's gonna just take all of Union down, which is why everything's all like, well, broken. So this is gonna be a fun section. I should be right. There is ammo around. So we're going to be taking on some enemies that they're kind of like Disciples in that they're really tanky, but they're just not as big. And they're formed from what they call psychoplasm, which was the goop and stuff that we saw earlier in the game. They're just kind of like hardened psychoplasm. But they're also, as I said, very tanky, so... But they're a lot quicker than the Disciples too, and sometimes if you get up on them, they'll just swing wildly and can hit you like 3 or 4 times, and it's absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So I'm going to have to try and place my shots here, because if I don't take them down quickly, it's a nightmare.
Stop me if I'm wrong, but this game's kind of weird.
No, you'd be correct in saying that.
I gotta get rid of these things. Maybe then I can get to her.
Okay, so I missed that shot. I was aiming for the head. Okay, gross. Alright, this is gonna be fun. Oh, okay. Okay. Alright, cool. Alright, that wasn't awful. But we still got this guy to take out. And it's basically like, you gotta kill all the enemies in said area, and then it will, like, you'll see the thing moves. I might heal now, actually. I think I've got a heal. Yeah, I've got a few. Easy. Okay, we want that one. But yeah, more often than not, like a nicely placed harpoon bolt to the head usually kills these guys. But that hit him in the shoulder, apparently. No, that hit him in the head. Okay, I don't know what's going on there.
The same can be said of most things. A good harpoon bolt to the skull will kill most things.
Okay, so old mate still didn't go down. So this is what I'm saying when I mean like they're really tanky. Okay, that's cool. We got a 2 for then. Okay,
so
cool.
are all enemies vulnerable to the foot stomp if you can knock them down?
Yes. Yeah, it's a cool little mechanic. Because in the first game, if you remember, there was like the whole match mechanic thing where you could like burn bodies. But this game, they got rid of that in favor of the stomp mechanic. But yeah, if it's an enemy that can be put on the ground, you can stomp it. But there's also like, you can upgrade your stealth and stuff like that, and you can actually charge people and like stab them in the back. But we don't have that luxury, having not upgraded anything. So this is like the final mini boss before we take on the final boss. I'll give you 3 guesses who that is. Okay. This is the glowing spot is like the sweet spot, as you might have guessed. Okay, that was a very good fight. Sniper rifle is super overpowered in this game, even at like the base level. So, yeah, like you use it on.
You just fought a living not lamppost, electrical pole.
Yeah. You say that like it's unusual.
Well, as I said before, this game seems kind of weird.
Just a touch, yeah. Alright, so this little part here is awful. Because it takes so long for the chapter to actually tick over that you can think you're on like really good pace. Like, hell yeah, that was a great fight. Yeah, mad. But then you just wait and wait and wait. And then finally it ticks over and it's like, okay, that was like not as big of a time save as I was expecting. Because, like, look at this. He's just moving real slow. And bang, that's where your time would sort of switch over. So second last chapter of the game. It's you can talk about any incentives or anything if you want, because it's basically we're running to that house at the top of the hill there.
All right. Well, while you run to that house on Haunted Hill, let's see what I've got. No new donations in. Somebody could come in. We're at 35 of 200 to add Murder House as a bonus game right after this one. Though you are running out of time to do that. If somebody wants to drop 165, they can do that right now. If that does not happen, Trek to Yomi will be next. We have a bid war for both the category and the ending. Currently on category, Kinsei is beating out Ronin, $20 to 1. And with the ending, the love ending is currently winning with $1. And after Trek to Yomi, we'll have Star Fox 64. That is a point race? Score attack. Score attack is what it's called. And there is a $50 incentive on that one to make words play on the Japanese version instead of the NTSC, which apparently is like a 4-point difference. So I assume out of 2,500. So I assume that's pretty minimal.
Okay, so this boss fight, I'm going to need to focus a lot, so I'll just kind of explain it now. If it glows, shoot it. That's essentially the name of the game. We're only hopefully going to use explosive bolts and the sniper rifle to get through this, and if all goes to plan, there should only be about 6 minutes left of the run.
I love it when they give bosses big, glowy weak points.
It's a very Japanese horror thing to do. Eyes and glowy points. So that's Myra, by the way. Myra got a haircut.
I gotta say, I preferred the old haircut.
Yeah, same. Absolutely. Okay. So hopefully if I timed that well... Yeah, okay. So basically we want to try and get through this first phase with just 2 sniper rounds and 2 explosive bolts. But if you mistime that first shot, sometimes it doesn't deal as much damage. Same with this shot. If I mistime this shot, it's not going to deal as much damage. Alright, cool. We're good. So now she's going to spit out some weird little bugs. And we're going to go stomp crazy and pick up any resources we can, because we'll, depending on how well I shoot in the next section, I may need to craft ammo. So we're just going to pick that up for safety.
Well, how kind of them to give you gunpowder
Yeah,
in case you
right.
need to craft some ammo.
So Myra has some of the worst hitboxes, like legitimately some of the worst hitboxes I think I've ever seen in a video game. But that was okay, we missed 1 shot. Switching over to controller for this part, because again, it's one of those really awful sections with aiming. Okay. Now this part's like same as before, except it takes more ammo. So I'm going to shoot it with a sniper round, switch to the explosive bolt, shoot that, and then I'm going to switch back to the sniper round. And that usually does the trick. Just gonna craft that for safety, so try and line this shot up. Okay, bang. I'm moving a bit slower than I normally would, purely because, as I said, the hitbox is awful, and I don't want to waste 5 minutes missing shots. We can just kind of stand here in this corner while her weird tail thing is doing what it's doing. I'm just going to wait for this to sort of light back up. Hopefully, yeah, okay. And so wait for it to turn around. Bang, alright, so that's the second phase. And now we're going to wait for her mouth to light up, and we're just going to shoot her in the mouth, and that's going to end the fight. Okay, that's the Myra fight. GG's. So we're not done just yet. We do have a little bit more left to go. We're going to go get Lily now, but that was a really good fight. I missed one shot out of that whole fight, so that's that was my biggest concern, because if you miss too many shots, a minute and a half, 2 minute long fight can turn into 6 minutes very quickly.
That's at least the second, if not third time I would have expected this game to end.
Yeah, we're very close. We're just gonna go grab Lily, and then there's gonna be this cool little scene where it switches between Sebastian and Kidman. Kidman actually, we learned earlier that Kidman's part of this plan, so she's actually getting attacked by Mobius now, because they've learned that she's helping Sebastian. Yep, okay. So that's another instance where I'll use the controller, because I can't tell you how many times I've lined up a headshot and it's just gone way to the left. Yeah, it's going to switch back between Sebastian and Kidman. So they're actually at the moment trying to get rid of Sebastian. They're trying to locate his position in STEM so they can kill him. And so Kidman's like, I'm having none of that, so she's just running through everyone to try and save him. Okay, I'm just going to take out this guy. Okay.
Make it to the STEM room. Just need to make it downstairs. Hang on, Sebastian.
But yeah, there's if we don't skip these cutscenes, I swear it's 10 minutes of just dialogue. It's just disgusting.
I hope this works, Myra.
Okay. On the home stretch, so time's coming up. I just have to run from the house down to my safe room, and time will come up very soon after that. So we're very close to the end here.
I'll keep my finger on the button.
I'm counting on you, Kidman.
Okay. Yeah, this is just a straight run. We've got infinite stamina here, so we don't have to worry about tapping anything or doing cover to cover. Let's just run to the light.
Oh my god.
So as you can see, everything's sort of falling apart. So Myra's staying behind to just destroy everything. Just destroy Union altogether. And just shut the whole thing down.
Just gotta hang on.
Okay, and so after this cutscene, and time. So that was the Evil Within 2. Thank you. So yeah,
2:18:50, but I guess it's 2:18:54.
yeah. So that's what I was saying earlier, that the RTA timer doesn't match with that, and then the in-game timer won't match with that either. But yeah, that was the Evil Within 2. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say we probably haven't met that incentive.
I will do a quick check. See if there are any new donations. does not look like it.
No, that's absolutely fine.
So
Cool.
That'll be it for you.
That'll be it for me, yeah. So I'm going to just do some quick thank yous before I depart.
Yeah, please do.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
Cheese.
yous, plugs, or shout outs.
Yep, thank you for the hosting this run, Cheese. Huge shout out to Green Gaming for letting me be a part of this event. I absolutely love doing these kinds of things for obviously great causes. Huge shout out to the Evil Within 2 community. It's a very small community, but it's some really cool people. We are currently trying to get a working auto splitter going, so if there's anyone that knows how to do like coding for that kind of stuff, then by all means jump in and give it a go. It's very broken. You can find me on Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Actually, I've got a Twitter now. Join the 21st century. All Tim_Trollgasm. Yeah, just that's it, I guess. Yeah, over to you guys. Thank you very much.
All right, well, thank you for having us. We're going to switch over and play some ads, and next up will be Trek to Yomi by Aishma. As soon as I figure out the switch to ads button. Or not switch to ads, switch to thing button. I don't see that button.